back. So let us continue with, I believe the previous thing there is no much doubts. So let us continue with the objectives of internal audit. I've tried to again make an acronym wherever possible. I know the only changes I would have made is I would have sent you the material, you will have it. Probably when I'm doing it again, I will feel why can't I add or I can't simplify this content more for you guys. So I would have added some acronyms then and there wherever I feel there is a scope for improvement, I would have added it. So you just add it to your book if you do not have this acronym in your book updated. Okay. So objectives of internal audit. What is the objectives? What am I trying to achieve? Objective. End of the day, what is my objective, people? Once I complete this purpose, I should have achieved these things. What is that? First one, verifying the accuracy of accounts. That's my objective. That is what I'm trying to do. Next one, detection of errors and frauds, if any. Correct? First one is accounts. Next one is fraud. And next one is reviewing the system of internal check and internal controls. So check whether internal controls are fair. Okay. Verifying the company assets and liabilities. See, first you are checking accounts here, and then you are checking if there are any frauds, and make sure that the internal controls are working solid. Because if that is right, then the entire company will be right. And next one is you are verifying the company's assets and liabilities. Physical existence versus on the paper. On the paper, everything will be fancy, ano. But is it in there in reality? That is what you need to check. Correct? Next one, adherence to accounting standards. Have they followed everything properly or not? Reviewing the managerial functions, meaning whatever are the managers or the senior management taking care of. Whether are they doing it in line? Are they doing it properly? And have they been given proper amount of functions which they can actually handle? What if one manager is taking care of 3 to 4 departments? Is he able to achieve it? So you see from his point of view also. Our next topics will be seeing that in fact. Yeah. So sir, acronym sir, Africa's last mutual fund. AFO, R and T. There is nothing for that. That's the reason I've just highlighted in red that there is nothing for that. There is no acronym. That is, you do not have any word for that. Yeah. What is it? Entire file only got deleted. Okay. So Africa, IC people. IC stands for internal control. A stands for again A and L stands for assets and liabilities, and next is AS accounting standards, MF managerial functions. So I thought if I'm in some place wherever possible I've taken single letters, but in some places where that single letter does not serve the entire purpose, I've tried to take the entire word also so that you guys can remember better. Yeah. So Africa's last mutual fund is the objective of internal audit. That's how you need to remember. If not, you will not be able to remember this. Remembering the acronym itself, it will become one task for you. Yeah. So remember that. It's always important. Meaning you have to make a story to remember the topic also. So Africa's last mutual fund is the objective of internal audit. That's how you need to remember. Clear? Okay. The main objective of the internal audit process is to provide an assurance on the organization's risk management, internal control environment and governance framework through review and appraisal of. Meaning what, sir? They're telling the main objective is what? Of the internal audit process is to provide an assurance. Assurance means what, people? Now you will come and take this class. I'll tell you that people keep the rest assured. So you come here with an assurance that someone is going to help you in this process. That is called as an assurance. That's what I'm telling you. On the organization's risk management, so whatever is the risk that is there in the company, whether can I be rest assured that it is taken care. Next one, internal controls. Tell me whether it is working properly or not. The third one is governance framework with regards to compliances. Is it all working fair or not? That's the main objective. Correct? Through, how will I achieve that? Through review and appraisal of. Now how will I achieve it? I will achieve it through all these things. Now see, I've tried to explain this in our dive deeper. Yes, first one, operational control framework. Yeah. Now what is that? The internal audit checks how well the organization's core systems and processes are working across all areas of the business. So I will check organization score systems. What do you mean by that? This includes evaluating how risks are identified, assessed and managed with a special focus on fraud risk. Example, the audit might review the procedures in the finance department to ensure that the payments are correctly authorized and that frauds are minimized. Meaning what, sir? Overall in the complete department, people, how is the control framework? Meaning from the top management point of view, there is marketing department, sales department. Now all of this, for every department I would have a system, correct? I would have some systems, that is where I want to go, and process, how I want to achieve. I would have set some systems and I would have set some processes. Now what I will do, I will try to check whether all these systems are checking properly or not. That's my operational control framework. One of the biggest example, in fact, people, for the internal audit failure, if I have to tell you recent times also, in the year 2021 until recent time, there was the officer of a person called as Netflix. He was a CIO of Netflix, and he was into operations, he was into the top management only. Now what did this person do? Netflix had a lot of inside code of conducts. They had proper agreements for the managers and all that, they had it. But ultimately what happened, there is one case law only, it's called as Netflix case law. This was done by a vice president. His name is called as Michael Kale, and he was a vice president of IT operations at Netflix. In fact, he was a CIO. Netflix had a clear rule that people, you are not supposed to, what is a code of conduct? They had everything in their company. But this person, what did he do? He started entering into contracts. Now, for example, imagine people, if I have to tell it to you in layman's language, now Netflix would need some IT support, various IT supports. It can be with regards to animation, how they manage the software. Now, whom should we give this contract to? Whom should we give this contract? Technically, you have to give it to a contract which is with best interest of the company, which is beneficial for the company. Yes or no? Yes or no? Now, how will you get that? Probably you can ask for tenders, get quotations from 4 to 5 people. All this you could have done, and finally you could have selected one. But what did Mr. Kale started doing? Mr. Kale started giving the contracts to those people who started giving him some benefits out of this particular contract. So he started accepting bribes. He started accepting some, benefits that is arising out of the contracts. He in fact has given some contracts to around 9 odd companies, and in return he has also taken some stock options in those companies. Now imagine, I'll tell you, I'll give you the software part to your company. You can manage it for Netflix. But yes, for giving you this, this contract, you need to pay me some money. That's why Netflix termed this entire scheme as pay to play. Pay to play schemes. So this person started doing all that, and he had some kickbacks. He made around $5 lakh. Various gifts were accepted, and the ultimate reason for all of those people, it was failure of the company. Had code of conduct, but they could not enforce the code of conduct to the best of the interest. They could not enforce it with all the power. So systems are there. They said that you are not supposed to accept any gifts. That is there. See your code of conducts. Gifts, travel and entertainment policy that addresses and prohibits employee conflict of interest. Meaning you cannot accept any gift which will create conflict of interest. He went against everything, but in the company there was no policy whether to enforce, to check whether all this is happening properly or not. No one was there to check. Now that is where Netflix itself failed. The share market, the share started falling at that time. He was sentenced even for imprisonment. The term was around 7 years, but yes, I think he served around 30 months. So this is what exactly happened in Netflix. So how will the top management know? See, this was a internal control failure, no? or you can say that there was no sufficient internal audit which can enforce and check what you are doing is right or wrong. If no one can check, then what will happen, people? Someone should be there to check, right? Yes or no? That's what they said. That's clear, all of you. See one of the interesting reads. Okay. Next one, sir. Compliance with policies, plans and procedures. The audit assesses whether the organization's policies, plans and procedures are being followed properly and whether they are still adequate and relevant to the current business needs. What do you mean by that? You will have your code of conduct. You will have internal policies. That has been drafted in my Tata Kala. From that day it is still valid. So first one you need to check whether the company is following with all the policies or not. Next one you need to check whether is it updated with time or is it outdated. Yeah, okay. Compliance with statutory requirements. Statutory requirements are nothing but make sure that whatever the regulatory requirements are. Imagine it can be like GST filings, income tax filings, or your financial statements or your annual returns. Whatever all these are, whether all these are being done properly or not, that is also your one of the objectives, statutory requirements. Next one, implementation of audit recommendations. What do you mean by that, people? Now imagine in the last year, there was an external audit that would have taken place. Or it can be an internal auditor of the last year. They would have given you at the end of the year their opinion. They could have said you that this is what is lacking, this is what you can improve. They would have given you in the report. Now the question is, have you implemented whatever they pointed out, or have you still left it? It is still in the air, which is unimplemented. So the next thing you are going to check is the previous auditors, whatever recommendations they have given, whether those things have been properly implemented or corrected during the year. Understood? Okay. Next one, evaluating internal controls. Obviously, what is internal controls? We know by now it is a proper system which is implemented to detect errors and frauds or misstatements. Correct? So the audit evaluates these controls to ensure. So the audit will evaluate these controls to make sure that the internal controls are effective and efficient. If not, no use only. No. Next one. Excuse me, ensure reliable financial and management reporting is taking place. Meaning, sir, at the end of the day, after all these are done, you will get some reports which will be communicated to the management, whether those reportings are reliable. What if, people, we are taking decisions on reports, the reports only are fake? So that is what you are checking. I always tell Noda, to get 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, you should have input 2 plus 2 properly. If this is only wrong, this will obviously be wrong. Correct? Okay. Next one, ensure compliance with laws and regulations. So you should have internal control, like, people, compliance management system. Check whether you have this, because something should be there to automatically take care of what and all are the laws applicable. Help achieve the organization's goal. Obviously, protect the organization's assets. Asset protection is also safeguarding the assets, physical assets and all. Yeah. Next one, risk areas of the organizations. The audit identifies key areas where the organization might face risks. Example, in a manufacturing company, a risk area might be supply chain, where delays could disrupt production. See, risk means for you something and all will be running. That's why what I did, I tried to get a real manufacturing life example. Now imagine, people, it will so happen that in fact, in one of my real life incident also, I'll tell you, we wanted to buy some product. The product has a lot of demand, but the company is not able to meet its supply. They will say, sir, the material has not yet come. Don't you think it's an opportunity cost for them? In fact, if you actually think, don't you think they are losing out on their customers? If you are not able to serve them, that's what they're telling you. There is a delay in supply chain, means the raw materials, by the time I get, there will be a delay. Now what is that you need to do? You have to sit with finance team and you need to say, can we afford to stock some raw materials? They will say, yes, why not? But you need to think a little. Why? If you have to stock some raw materials, that means you need to buy up more space. You need to pay more rent. That's a cost. So to run a business, macha, all this will come. Yes? Okay. Next one, risk management framework. How are you managing the risk? So the audit ensures that organization has a proper framework in place to manage risks. Example, this might involve reviewing the company's disaster recovery plans to ensure they are adequate. Meaning, now as and when I'm speaking, we know that there is a huge disruption that took place in Kerala. Wayanad slides, landslides and all happened, and around 500, 600 people have passed away. Now there are companies there. There are businesses set up. Now how are you going to revive the entire thing? That is what is called as your risk management. It's again called as, you can call it as BCP also. Business continuity planning. How do you do it? Next one, identifying and assessing risks. Remember people, this entire thing from here to here, everything is with regards to risk only. Yes, sir. See what do they say? One is risk area of the organizations, identifying the risk, having a framework. So identifying and assessing the risk. Same thing only, the audit identifies the potential threats to the organization and assess the severity of the risks. Meaning what, sir? Here also you are identifying only, no sir, correct. Imagine you have identified 40 risks areas. Can you get a solution for all 40 day one? No. That's why what you are doing is, you are trying to prioritize by giving severity, which is the most severe thing. Try to tackle that first. Clear? Next one, response to the risk. The audit reviews the action the organization takes in response to identified risk, such as implementing the controls or other mitigating strategies. Now what do you mean by that? Now for example, now imagine I'll come and report in a, say for example, okay, now imagine if at all an internal audit is happening in Arivu. Now what will be the risk I will identify? Now I'll say, when the class is happening, what if someone else will try to access the Zoom link? What if someone outsider comes and access the link? Now that's a risk for me. Now you guys are watching this recorded video. Try to take a screenshot. You're not able to. Try to take it. It will come a blank screen. If nothing will come, try da. Nothing came up, blank screen came up. Don't you think it's a risk for me? Yes. Of course, from students' point of view, you feel, hey, you fellow, can't you give this at least understand we should also eat something? Yes or no? That's a risk. Now, I have identified all this, and imagine I'll tell this to the academy. Now, academy, what they're trying to do, did they act upon it? That is only called as response to the risk identified. The internal audit team, they have identified the risks. And what is the response the management gave for the identified risks? Understood? Next one is monitoring and coordinating risk management processes. Now what is that, sir? The audit monitors how well the risk management processes are working and ensures that different parts of the organizations are coordinating effectively. Now what do you mean by that, sir? Now people, this is the risk I have identified from the class point of view. Now don't you think if I look at the overall organization, there will be so many areas which are into having those risks? Yes or no? Now are all these departments coordinating? And is someone above everyone, are they getting these reports and are they monitoring whether all of this is happening, in chain and not in isolation? What is happening in the class, that person does not know. What is happening there, that I do not know. It should not be the case. That's what they're telling. Clear? Next one, sir. Assurance on the effectiveness of risk management process. Assurance is what? End of the day, the same thing. What? Now after doing all of this, the board of directors will feel, now I can go and sleep peacefully. Now my object is assured. Yes, risk is taken care. So what are you doing, people? You are first identifying and you are prioritizing and you are coming up with a framework for that, and you are going to come up with a policy, and now you are going to see whether it has been implemented, the reaction what these people are doing. The next one is coordinating and monitoring, and finally the assurance over the risk management. Correct? Hello? Yes sir? Yes sir, that is what is given here. Clear? So from here to here everything is risk only. So this is what is with regards to your internal control. Clear? Any doubts? Yes? Okay. Next one, sir. This one good policy in Hindustan Unilever. The chief internal auditor, he says that their entire policy runs on one vision, and that vision is what people zero surprise risk controlled organization. What is that? It is called zero surprise risk controlled organization. What do you mean by zero surprise risk controlled organization? That means there should be no surprises for us. Someday don't come and say, sir, in our organization that is not there. You have to foresee everything. You should have a policy for everything. That is what is the HUL's biggest motto. That is, you should always have a foresight of what we are going to see. So, that is what they have given. See, zero surprise risk control organization. Okay. Next one, sir, scope of internal audit. So, whenever I am working, we'll see that. So, whenever I am working, sir, which and all are the different areas that I am expected to see or I am answerable for? According to our IIA, Institute of our internal auditors, they say that whenever you're working, your scope will include all these. Yeah. Now, what does that see? First, try to understand and then try to remember. If not, people, you would have by now, you would have got a pinch of idea of this. It is like you will feel it is drier. That's why what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to give you a real life example and scenario so that you can connect and understand. If not, these are all, you will feel it's very dry. What am I learning is what you will feel. And if I just end of the day, all of this is English. Now, if I just say people risk management, manage your risk, that's all done. That's where I'm trying to add value. This is what it is. This is the example. In real life, this is how it will happen. Got it? Okay. Now see here. Accordingly, the internal audit is concerned with evaluation of both internal controls as well as the quality of actual performance. According to the Institute of Internal Auditors, the internal audit involves the following areas of operations which can be discussed as follows. So, the internal audit involves the following areas of operation. And what is that, sir? The first one is called a review of internal control systems and procedures. Review of internal control systems and procedures. Now, see here. Now, if I go in detail and see scope of internal audit. I have tried to break it down so that we will understand it even better. Now see here, wherever is possible, I have tried to simplify. Wherever it's possible, I have tried to give you more points. Wherever possible, we'll see it from the book only. See here, I tried to make a chart for this. The chart itself is going like this particular thing. So what did I do? In your book, they have given it as a paragraph. I have tried to break the paragraph as points in your main material only. Yeah. Okay, now see here, review of internal control systems and procedures. So what are we doing? We are reviewing the internal control systems and procedures. The internal auditor should determine whether the internal control systems is in consonance with organizational structure. Consonance means what, people? Equally. Whatever my internal controls are and whatever my organization structures is, are they both going hand in hand? Okay, as far as possible, the control should be built in the operating functions if they are cost effective. What do you mean by that, sir? Internal control in itself, people, it need not be a different department. Don't make internal control as a different department. They are trying to tell you, try to put the internal controls in the process only so that they will be cost effective. And how is that? See, there is one example. The establishment of a separate credit control department would be justified if the objective of reducing the credit risk and minimizing the debt recovery period could be met through controls inbuilt in the accounting and sales system, especially in small and medium size concerns. Now, what is it, sir? Imagine, people, I will have a designated department who is just monitoring, whether we will be making so many sales and few people will be like cash sales and few will be like credit sales. Now what if the money is not settled on time? It become debtors. Now who is managing everything? So that trying to tell you, try to have a policy in such a way that whenever a sale happens, do not give the entire 100% of the goods on day one. So bring in a policy where, the person who is accepting the goods, he is also accountable and he knows that if I do not pay, for me there is no way out. Instead of having it as a separate team. Or if you think no, the size of the company is way too big, it is very difficult for us to get this internal control within the process. If that is not working, then do one thing. Have a recovery team as a different department. Now you need to hire staff, you need to pay for them, that will come into picture. Yes? Okay. Next one. Each control should be reviewed and analyzed in terms of its cost and benefits. Correct? So it's not like, see people, if I say, why can't a company have a best of the internal controls? Remember, it also comes with a cost. Now for example, the software I told you that you are not able to take a screenshot. That comes with a cost. I need to pay additional money to my IT guy who gives me that feature. It's a cost. Now I can even bring in more and more features and add also, but that comes with a cost. Correct? Yes, sir. So it has to be cost as well as beneficial. It should also be seen whether the internal controls were in use throughout the period of intended reliance. Meaning, it's not like I just implement internal control and you guys rarely used it. It should be of some use as well. Next one, a breakdown in internal controls for a specific portion of the intended reliance would need a specific attention. Meaning, breakdown means what, people? Imagine I have implemented, but somewhere in between it failed. There were some problems in internal control. There was a breakdown, temporarily did not work. I need to have some special attention to that. So this is what, people, the scope of internal auditor with regards to IIA. That is what they are telling you. The first one is review of internal control systems. What is that first thing I will do? First I will check whether my internal controls are equivalent to the organization structure, meaning organization size, organization's turnover. Is it equivalent? Or your internal controls is like ant, but your organization is like an elephant. Doesn't work. And next one, you will also see whether the internal controls are, you have to make sure it is beneficial. Try to put it in the process only instead of having as a department unless otherwise required. And next one, check whether the internal controls were in use throughout the period. And the fourth one, see if there is any breakdown. If there is a breakdown, then have a special attention over that period. What happened? Why? It is the point. Okay. Next ones are reliability and integrity of financial and operating information. Reliability and integrity of financial and operating information. Now what is this, sir? See, the auditor evaluates the accuracy and reliability of financial data and reports provided to the management and external entities. Example, the auditor might review how sales data is recorded and reported to ensure it matches the actual sales figure. Now what do you mean by that? Imagine, people, reliability and integrity of financial and operating information, meaning reliability means, as I told you, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. See, if at all the records and data that has been circulated inside the management, if that records and data itself is unreliable, then obviously people output will also be unreliable. So they're asking you what is that methods you guys have put in a place so that you guys can actually rely on your data. What is that steps you have taken? And see, that is what they're telling you. Now try to read. The internal auditor should review the information systems to evaluate the reliability and integrity of financial and operating information. So you are sending so many reports for the year. This was the cost for the year. This was the sales. Now all of this is given to the management and to external agencies. It can be your third parties. such as government bodies, trade organizations and labor unions. For all of them you have given these reports. Now whether all these reports are they showing proper information? Because based on these reports there are so many decisions being made. Now see, for the purpose, the internal auditor should review the means used for measuring, classifying, reporting information, including the records from which the information is extracted. Now the first question, I am saying you that check whether this information is reliable or not. How will you check? First one, I will check the source. Now from where did you get it? If the source is good, the information will be good. Okay, next one. He should examine the accuracy and reliability of financial and operational records. Now what I am doing, I am examining the accuracy. And how is that? You can actually do some test audit. Correct? Okay, next one. He should review the frequency and timelines of timeliness of the reports, keeping in view the statutory time limits in case of reports to government agencies. Meaning, are we meeting our timelines? For example, I have to file so many reports within 6 months, within 5 months, within 2 months, whether that has been taken care or not. Next one, he should examine the information mentioned in the report is meaningful to the user. Sir, I am giving the reports to my management. What is their bakwas? It is going for 1000 pages. Then what decision will they take? So the information you are reporting should be beneficial and meaningful for that person. It should not be some random content you are posting. Correct? So the first one was you are checking your internal controls. Second one is reliability of the information passed. It can be financial or operational to the management. You are checking the reliability. Okay. The third one, sir. See, the third one is so huge. They have given, actually in your book only, it's a big paragraph. I have tried to break it into points. Even then I felt this is not serving. So I'll show what I did. Economic and efficient use of resources. Economic and efficient use of resources. Now what is that, sir? Now see here. Economical and efficient use of resources. No, people, this what I have done here only I have tried to split it into the multiple points. The point where I have put there, that was a different thing. Sorry. Now see here, the internal auditor, okay, first try to see the summary. What does it say? The auditor checks if the company uses its resources. What are the resources? It can be money, machinery, power, resources, people, labor. All this is your resources only. Are they properly utilized? Now here only you will get three things. Are they overutilized? Are they underutilized? Are they optimally utilized? Underutilized is a loss. Overutilized, there will be a pressure. Because a person is doing more work than what he has to do. He will leave someday. Correct? That's what they are telling. See, an auditor might find that a machine is underutilized and recommend ways to increase its use, thereby improving the efficiency, and thereby your sales will go up. See, that's what it says. The internal auditor should check whether the proper operating standards and norms have been established for measuring economical and efficient use of resource. So you should have some operating standards and norms, meaning something like a procedure, some policies. They should be detailed enough to be identifiable with specific operating responsibilities and should be capable of being used by operating personnel for monitoring and evaluating their performance. Meaning, it is not that you are just forming your operating standards or imagine like a manual. It should be usable also, and it should be readable also by the concerned department heads or people. They should know, okay, this is what is the output expected from my department or from me. Now imagine I am a worker. I should know, imagine people, if I speak from manufacturing point of view, if I say that a minimum worker is expected to work in a day is, I want you to produce 50, whatever is the product we are doing. Imagine yesterday I was talking about soap. So each labor or a person, employee working, you should be able to manufacture 50 soaps. Imagine if that is the minimum quantity. Now the internal auditor should be concerned on how did you say that 50 is the minimum. Was there a sufficient research? And see what everyone are able to meet. If 50 is like easily being achieved, that means you have kept a very small target. If no one is able to achieve, that means you have kept a really unrealistic target. Now imagine a person who is able to meet it. He made 60 soaps, and how are you going to benefit him? He should know, if I do this, there will be something for me, incentives or promotions or whatever it is. Clear? So your operating procedures or standards should be able to give so much of clarity. Yes. I hope you are getting the. Okay, now see here, the internal auditor should review the methods of establishing the operating standards. See, internal auditor is reviewing the methods of establishing the operating standards. He should carefully examine the assumptions made while setting the standards. How did you say it is 50? If it is unrealistic, then you are at fault. I have to come and correct the management. What you guys are having as 50 is unrealistic. Next one, the variances should be examined. Variance means what? Sir, this is what was our standard, but this is what is being achieved. That means we are not having something right. This difference is called as variance. Variance is nothing but difference between what was expected and what is delivered in reality. So you have to examine to evaluate whether or not the standards and norms are practical. Where there is a wide divergence between actual performance and the corresponding standard, reasons may be looked into. So 50 and 40, why? And see how many people are not able to meet. If see only 1 and 2 are able to meet, that means you are not having a realistic standard. Okay. The internal auditor should examine whether analysis of variances is communicated to those concerned in time. So whom should I communicate this to? I need to communicate this to the department heads. Manufacturing department head, you are not getting a proper number. That is not a valid number. The people are feeling pressurized, so that he can act upon it. As a part of evaluating resources utilization, identify the facilities which are underutilized. So for example, it can be machinery, it can be man, it can be power, it can be money, anything can come here. Identify them and correct them also. See, understaffing, overstaffing, everything will come. While commenting on staffing, the internal auditor should pay special attention to non-productive work being performed. This would require an inquiry into the job description of the employees combined with an intelligent observation of the work being done. Finally, the internal auditor should review all the procedures with reference to their cost and benefit. One of the factors resulting in inefficiency is that in many cases procedures become hindrances to operations. What is it, sir? You need to clearly say, why did you hire the employee for, but what is he working today? So you have to see the gap between job description and what he is working also. Ultimately, people, remember, you have to have procedures, but the procedures should not stop from the person working or from executing his work. Because of your procedures, imagine people, if at all I need to get one raw material, imagine it says that I need to get one senior management's approval. Okay, it might be an internal control, but how long is it taking for you to get this approval? If it is taking more than 3 hours, 4 hours, that's the ideal time. Your internal control or your procedures are not right. You have to relook into it. Clear? The first one was internal control. The second one was your data, how reliable your operational or financial information is. The third one is people, nothing but how well are you utilizing your resources. Correct? Okay. Next one, sir. Easy one. Compliance with laws, policies, plans, procedures and regulations. Nothing but the entire thing says people, first check out what and all are the laws applicable. Is the company meeting everything? Timelines are we able to meet? Are we able to file all the reports for all the regulators that we need to file? And is all the documents and information, is it accurately and properly communicated? So I will check all of that, and whether do we have sufficient policies or not is what will come under compliance with laws, policies and all. Yeah. Next one is review of organizational structure. This is what it is, the lengthy one. Review of organizational structure. Now what does that see here? Review of organizational structure. Yes, sir. Now see, what does a review of organizational structure say? Alignment with organizational objectives. So what is review of organizational structure? Under this, what and all we will actually check. It's a vast thing. You will check a lot of things. So I've tried to break down every key word. Now when you're writing the answer, see, there is so much of sentences they have given, paragraphs. Now what I've tried to do, I've tried to take the keywords from this entire paragraph, only keywords. On that I have made points. And it covers everything. Getting the point? Now see here. First it says alignment with organizational objectives. Now what do you mean by that? Now for example, people, see here. The auditor checks if the company's structure supports its goals and ensures that responsibilities are properly assigned. Example, if company's goal is to expand internationally. So if you look at the company's goal for the current year, they would have said, we want to expand our operations to, for example, Canada. Okay, your objective is good, your dreams are good. But in reality, are you guys able to meet that goal? Do you have so many people? Have you taken steps towards that? Have you anticipated what is going to happen? How many people you would need? Which are departments you need? Now you will try to see between my dream and reality, is there any connection or it is absolutely disconnected, is what will be the scope of internal auditor. So my goals and whatever is my procedure or whatever is the process, are they both in line, is what I will check here. See, the auditor checks if there are dedicated teams for handling international sales, marketing, operations, etc. Correct? Okay, now see here, grouping of activities. Now what is that, sir? The auditor examines how tasks and functions are grouped for management control. Meaning, people, in a retail company, activities like purchasing, inventory management and sales might be grouped under one department called as operations. The auditor checks if this grouping helps in efficient management. Meaning what, people? Now whatever is related. Now for example, in ArivuPro also I'll tell you, there is something called as a student, you can say, there is one more thing, I don't know I can say it or not. Okay, I'll tell you this way. Imagine, people, with regards to a student career monitoring, imagine I open one department in ArivuPro. Now what and all will come under this? Can I put tests? Yes. Can I put attendance monitoring? Yes. Can I say the results end of the day? Yes. Now, is this grouping of one department called as student career progression? This is the main department. Under this, I am trying to bring in these three departments as one organization. Is this grouping correct? So I am calling it as operations. Under operations, I am able to bring in everything. Now, is this grouping correct? Why? Because tomorrow the people working there, it should be an internationally accepted thing that under operations is only sales will come. Under operations only this will come. It should not be some special thing that is used in your company. Because the person who is coming inside might not have that skill set. That's what they are telling you. That's what is grouping. Understood? Okay. Balance of responsibility and authority. What do you mean by balance of responsibility and authority? For example, people, now imagine, ArivuPro tells me that, sir, we give you the authority, you do anything, sir, for the students to pass. Okay, now what I will do, I will tell people then every week you will have tests. People, then I'll do one thing, I'll try to bring in any specific type of book for you to pass, which will simplify your effort. Now, this should not be questioned. An authority given, people, should be balanced with, do I have the decision making power? That is only called as responsibility and authority. What is it, sir? Here, the auditor ensures that the authority and the responsibility are balanced. If someone has a lot of responsibility, they should have the authority to make decisions also. Now, I cannot keep coming and asking you, sir, can I conduct test this Sunday? Sir, can I'm thinking of bringing one more book, like our main material. I'm trying to implement one more book also, say for example, something like this, more information which will be given with examples. Now, if that is the case, what will happen? It will always slow down the process and procedure. It will be time consuming. Now, what is the use of having authority without having to take decisions? So, always that's what they say, the responsibility will be coupled with or paired with your decision taking abilities. Correct? Yes, okay. The next one. The clear lines of authority. What is clear lines of authority, sir? Clear lines of authority means people, now today imagine, I want to work in a company. Now in this company, what if you come and say, sir, you have to report to this person who is the head of operation. You have to report to this person who is the manager. You have to report to this person. This is a team leader. Now what happens, people, when I'm coming under multiple controls, there is an automatic delay in the process or in the decision taking abilities or with regards to my deliverables. I do not know if this happens, where should I go? That's what they are trying to tell you. Clear lines of authority. Are you getting what I am trying to tell you? Clear lines of authority means when tomorrow if I need something, I need to know clearly to whom do I have to reach out to. If that itself is baseless, then they are telling you, no, an internal auditor has to come. He has to fix this gap. Now see here, read the example. The auditor checks if everyone in the company knows who they report to and what their responsibilities are. Now I should know, in a company, if I have a problem, where should I go to? Yeah. Now see that this unity of command and this almost have the same explanation. Clear lines of authority says, if at all I have a problem, I need to know to whom I have to reach out to. And that should not be multiple people. That multiple people will be given in unity of command. Now read the complete part, you will get a fair idea. Who they report to and what their responsibilities are. Example, if a factory manager reports to both head of operations and CEO, it might create confusion. The auditor ensures that such overlaps are avoided. You please go and speak to one person only. That is only called as unity of commands. Here, the auditor ensures that each employee reports to only one supervisor to avoid confusion. Clear? Yes, I know it will take time for you to remember, people. That's what I'm saying. See, if you try to remember this entire paragraph, trust me, macha, promise on you, you will skip this chapter and go. Try to split it into as many topics as possible and start understanding the concept. Then is when you will be able to deliver what you want. If not, it will go on just keep flying on top of your head. You will not believe, making this entire material, this internal audit only, it took me close to 1 week to bring in those examples. The realistic and something relatable. Are you getting the point? Now see here, the next point is, people, sir, span of control. What do you mean by span of control, people? In corporate, I'll tell you what do you mean by span of control. Span of control means nothing but one person can handle up to how many people. That power is called as span of control. Now you only think, can one person manage 10? Yes sir. 20? Yes sir. 30? 40? 50? 60? 80? You might. I'm not saying you cannot. But obviously, people, the output, there will definitely be a compromise. Pakkada. Hey, are you God? You will sit in the top and you will say, I will take care of everything. That is obviously not possible. And that is what they are trying to tell you. One person cannot take care of more than a particular number of people, and this terminology in corporate is called as span of control, and that is what they are trying to streamline. As an internal auditor, you need to come and fix this if one person is handling more than certain set of people. Next one, sir, clear definition of dual responsibilities. Now what do you mean by that? Imagine, people, today now I'll be appointed here. Now for me, imagine there are dual roles given. Now I need to be clearly defined what is my primary role. Now imagine, now in ArivuPro, if I have to say my primary role is a teacher, After teaching anything with that I can give. Now I can come and say I will help you in student career progression. That will become my dual responsibility. I need to have a clear clarity. What if there is conflict of time? I'm not able to give time for both. Which will be the priority? I should have a clarity. That's called as primary duty. So you have to be clearly authorizing people who are having more than 2 responsibilities. Next one, flexibility and initiative. Meaning what, sir? You should give flexibility to the people. If they want to take up any initiative, do not slow down the process, because it will become in fact, it will stop down your progression rather than going forward. So if employees are planning to do something on their own, as an organization, it is always better and wise for you to support it rather than introducing hurdles and blockades. That's what they're telling you. Next one, flow of information, sir. Nothing but whatever the information, people, you should not have a very big chain. I will tell to him, he will tell, he will tell, he will tell. If that is the case, what happen? The information will get consolidated. Imagine, people, I give a big block of ice. That's the information I give. I give it to my reporting manager. He gives it to the team leader. He gives it to the manager. And ultimately, by the time the senior management gets, he gets water. And the ice block I sent was this much. And there will be obviously delay, right, in reporting. So it should be clear. Next one, managerial development. What do you mean by that, sir? Always remember, a person leaves. That means, I'll ask you, who is he? Sir, he is a very good resource. Now, whenever a manager is planning to leave, that means, people, under him there will be so many people working, so many processes he will be controlling. A person leaving should not make the entire process fall. If it is falling, people, then what is happening? As a company, you were not prepared for this. This is again considered as, people, continuity planning. When the managers are there, you need to train the next set of managers. That's what they are telling. Clear? Is pakka na? 100%? Okay. Now see here, sixth one. So the entire thing is review of organizational structure. Clear? Okay. Next one, accomplishment of established goals for operations. Accomplishment of established goals for operations. Now what do you mean by that, people? See here. Reviewing overall objectives of the company. Meaning what, sir? You say that for this year, this is my objective. First my question, is it achievable? You will say, this year our production, imagine we are manufacturing of bikes. We want to produce 1 crore bikes. That's what is my goal. But in reality, how much are you producing? You are producing 1 lakh bikes. Hey, is a realistic goal? Then you cannot work towards it. That's what they are saying here. The auditor checks if company's overall goals are clearly defined and achievable. They also ensure that these goals are broken down into specific objectives for each department. So if your goal is to achieve 1 crore bikes, what should the sales department do? What should the supply chain do? What should the marketing department do? What should the finance department do? They have to arrange finances for you. Yeah, so you have to break it down and you have to give it to achieve this object. This is what it is. Next one, periodic revision of objectives. The auditor examines whether the company updates its objectives regularly to adapt changes in the business environment. Meaning, we are thinking of entering into new market. Is my objectives updated? Are we going towards that? Third one, setting precise and quantifiable objectives. What do you mean by that? I cannot say that what is that? Now imagine, I'll call my team and I say, people, from tomorrow we have to increase the student, experience. They should all enjoy student experiences. We have to improve student experiences. Now this is not a valid objective. That's what they say. Try to set precise and quantifiable objectives. Now what do I say? Now you guys will be writing some tickets. I would say, to increase the student experience, try to reduce the tickets. If you are getting, say for example, 100 in a day, why can't you reduce it to 20 per day? That means, I know for a fact, if tickets are going down, that means the students' experience automatically is going up. Correct? So quantifiable instead of just keeping it vague. So everything which is revolving around objects. See, improve customer service, Involvement in planning. What do you mean by that? It should not be like the top management sits and they say this is what we want to do. Now imagine in my class, what should the class achieve? How will it be if the management decides and says this is what we are looking out in a class? And you look at the second interpretation. The management will include the teacher. He will make me also sit in the meeting room and he'll say, what do you think? This is what we need to achieve. What do you think should be brought into the class to achieve this? I will say, for example, I would need another 20 hours inside the class. If I'm doing it for 100 hours today, I would need 120 hours. Now this is, it goes in line. So involve the concerned people with your planning in your object so that that object will be deliverable. Correct? Next one, flexibility in plans. What is that, sir? Whenever I'm implementing, don't be very rigid. Probably I would have agreed for something. If at all I'm not able to, but if you're very rigid on it, then you will not be able to implement it at all. So they're telling you try to be flexible at the time of implementation. Support from top management. Obviously, whether for all of this, is top management sitting somewhere, are they helping in the ground level? Always remember, one of the authors says the gap between the top management and the ground staff. That gap between the top management and the ground staff is directly proportional to the success, to the failure of the company. Meaning what, people? The more the gap, the more the failure. The less the gap, the less the failure. Because a person who sits here should always be aware of what happens in the ground level. The person who sits here should know what is happening in the top level. The gap increases here, the gap will increase here. That's what they are telling you. Clear? Regular communication and review. Keep the channels open, do not close it. Consistency between operations and goals. What do you mean by that? My goal is that my operation, I don't know where it is. So it should be realistic. You guys will have sir, I should pass this attempt no matter what. But what is the operation? What is the process? So every day I should not study, sir. I should watch Instagram, I have to watch YouTube, I want to do everything, but still I want to pass. There is no operation, then how will there be a goal? That's what they're telling you. Last one, sir, review of custodianship and safeguarding of assets. What is my ultimate scope of the internal audit, sir? Ultimately, I have to take care of my assets, safeguarding of the physical assets, make sure that there are processes in line to check whether what is reflecting in the books are the same thing that is reflecting physically as well. Correct, all of you? Okay. So that is what is given here. Yeah. I hope you guys are understanding. Okay. The next one, sir, the internal audit core principles. The internal audit core principles. So IIA says, people, that there are some core principles that the internal audit should have. And what is that? They will ask you direct questions, people. Yeah. First one, demonstrate integrity. What is integrity? Being unbiased. Demonstrate competence and due professional care. Meaning, don't be negligent. You have to be on your toes and you have to be showing diligence. Meaning, always be self-motivated, work more. Independent and objective exercise. Independent and objective is again same thing. What? You should not be a dependent person when you're showing your opinions. You should always take a third person's view. Align with strategies, objectives and risks of the organization. And you need to know what is the strategy and what is the risks, and your work should be aligned with that. It should not be like they are trying to achieve something, you are trying to achieve something. Okay. Is appropriately positioned and adequately resourced. We have seen this. What is that? We are able to achieve our goals. Our resources are also adequate, not over, not under-sourced. Demonstrate quality and continuous. It's not only once. Your quality should be there and it should continue also over a period of time. Communicates effectively wherever required. Provides risk-based assurance. The company, obviously, till now, that is what we saw. No, you will have your own, your fear of risks as a top management. I have to give you an assurance. Don't worry, it is taken care. Now see, the best example was Netflix. What was taken care? Insightful, proactive and future focused. Insightful and proactive means you have to go for it. Don't expect someone to come and ask you whether you will do it or not. And insightful means whatever the information you are giving, it should be meaningful and it should be helpful. And future focused, it should help in the future. Don't just give post-mortem report. What will I do with it? Next one, promotes organizational improvement. End of the day, all of those people, what is the core principle of internal audit? It should help you somewhere, right? Your organization has to improve over a period of time. Yes or no? Yes. Credit sues admits failure in internal risk assessments. It's nothing but it's a company which is in its financial reporting, they came and outrightly said in 21-22 we did see some weakness in our internal controls, which we will make sure it will bounce back. We have identified it, but we will make sure we will correct it. But the company identified there were some weaknesses in the internal control. Such things should not happen, but it is at least good that they are addressing it. Correct? This was the Netflix issue. Okay, let us see this one topic and then we can go for the next video. You can read till here. I know the content is more, so read after this and we'll go for a break. Recommended controls to prevent, detect fraud and educate to improve the organization's fraud awareness. Now, what is it, sir? Simple, people. Now, in an organization, if I have to reduce fraud, what is that I can do? So, what are the now internal controls? What are the recommended internal controls which you can implement in an organization so that your frauds in the companies will go down drastically? Now, what is that you can do? Try to think. Simple things only will come. Yes. Now, what is that first one, people? Segregation of duties. Now, what is that, people? Segregation of duties. Okay. Now, let us look at from here only. Our thing only. So, see here. Segregation of duties means what, people? Now, for example. Now, okay, let us imagine in our company, we have a person who places a purchase order for raw materials. He places the order for purchases. And who makes the payment? He is only making the payment. Now, what happens? Purchases, he says that I have purchased 5 crore worth material. And payment, he is only making. Now, what is happening, people? You never know how much you have purchased. And if one person only is doing both the duties, now who will check? That's why what they are doing here, they are telling you, have a maker-checker concept. What is that? A person who makes it and a person who checks it should never be same. Try to have two different responsibilities. Split the responsibilities. If someone has done a job, the next person should check his job. Only then you will be able to identify. If not, no. And this is what I told you. Bringing the internal controls within the process instead of having it as a different department. Yes, sir? Okay. Segregation of duties. Next one, rotation of duties. What do you mean by that? Now imagine in a company, for example, if it can be in a small thing, take a bakery. If you actually see, the cashiers will be rotating. And why is that? Because if you spend too much time in one place, people, you will get to know all the loopholes. And you should step out for some day. At least someone will come and check what happened in the past. If you only keep sitting, then how will you identify that something happened till today? That's what they're telling you. Rotation of the duties. If you are a cashier today, tomorrow put him in a different department. Next one, mandatory vacation. Meaning they're telling you, sir, every employee should take a vacation. It seems. Why? Two reasons, people. Personally, you will get frustrated. Even I am a firm believer of that. Once you take a break and come back, you will always be in the top notch with regards to your productivity is concerned. So you have to go. And next one, when you go, someone else will come in your place and try to do your job. And that is when we will know, okay, there is something that has happened. Correct? Okay, next one, people, treat employees well. Always remember, people, the first reason why the employees will start going behind your back is when they feel, why are the employers ill-treating me? My one analysis I'll tell you, people, try to own your employees. Try to own your employees. The employees will do everything to make sure that your company grows. If you disassociate with your employee, you can never build the bond. Now they will also start coming to the company only for money. The day, I always say this, the day when the employee comes to make sure, see, I always say, right, whenever your passion meets the job, you will wait for a Monday. If your passion and the job is same, you will wait for a Monday. If your passion and if your job is different, you will wait for a Friday. And today, unfortunately, more and more organizations are going towards that. See, I'm not saying employees cannot be satisfied, because yes, employees are also greedy. But that doesn't mean the gap between the employer and employee grows. That day that happens, the employee will not own the company. He will start disassociating from the company. The day that happens, that means it's gone. Understood? Yes, sir. Okay. That's what they're telling you. Treat employees well, so that he will hesitate in doing a fraud. Hey, no, I should not do this for my company. The day when he thinks, we have already seen this also, right? He should not feel that for what I'm doing, it's right only. He should not feel that. Next one, regular audits. Obviously, that is what you are here for now. Next one, background check. Whenever you are employing a particular person, especially for senior management, make a thorough check. See in the past whether were there any reports on them. Why were they fired from the previous companies, or why did this person leave? Because that will give you a lot of insight about that person's character. Next one, whistleblower policy. What is whistleblower policy? If at all, as a person, as an employee, if I come across any irregular activity in the company, whom should I report it to? Have a proper hotline. Hotline is nothing that is hot, not hot adalla, hot Allah. Hotline here is nothing but people. If I find an error, if I find a fraud, whom should I call? That's only called as whistleblower policy. You can expect a question, a direct question they will ask you. What are the steps that a company can take to reduce the frauds, or what are the steps an internal control can bring in to increase the visibility and reduce the frauds? Use of technology. Obviously, build in softwares, bring in cameras, bring in all systems, so that if there is anything, it should throw an error end of the day. Fraud awareness training. Call people, tell them don't do this. If this has happened, we will make sure we will file a police complaint. If not, this is what is the scenario. If you find something, come and report it to whistleblower policy. Keep telling them. Next one, code of conduct. Meaning what is expected out of you should be clear, and it should be there in the company's policy, so that they know that what is expected out of you. Next one, management oversight and tone at the top. Meaning what, sir? Simple people, whatever you guys behave in the top, that is what the employees will learn. That is what they say. In Sanskrit there is a very famous saying, Yatha Raja Tata Praja. What do you mean by that? Yatha Raja means however the king is. Tata Praja means people, that is how the kingdom will be. So if the fraud happens in the top management, then what do you think will happen in the employee? If the top management itself is not oriented, then why will the employees be oriented? Getting the point? Imagine if I say independent director has to be independent. You try to be independent, don't even have that one share. Why? Not required. That's what they say. Yatha Raja Tada Praja. Yes, sir. So remember that always. Next one, sir. Reinforce accountability. Reinforce accountability. What do you mean by reinforcement of accountability? Meaning people, you always tell what are the consequences of the employees doing something wrong. If something happens, make sure that they are punished, they are accountable. If not, what happens? If one excuse, or you have to see what is the severity of the thing you have done. If it's something very severe and if you are leaving it away, that means you are setting a wrong example. That is what they're telling you. Reinforce accountability. Accountability means what? Hold them liable for what they have done. The third one is document retention. Have a clear policy. An employee should know if anything with regards to this information, it has to be preserved in the company for 8 years. No matter what, you are not supposed to destroy it. So that if at all there are any evidences, that will not just go away. So you can say what can be shredded, that is disposed, what should not be. That is very important. That is what they are trying to tell you. It's clear, huh? These are the internal controls which you will keep it in place so that the number of frauds, failures, errors will always go down. And this is what you are trying to bring in as an internal control. Clear, huh? Independence, okay, we'll do it. I'll keep this as a next video. Make sure till here you guys revise and come, read and come, try to keep those points in mind and then only come to the next part. Clear, all of you? Thank you so much. See you all in the next video. Bye-bye.